Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Ask Sharifah. And boy, do we have some fun on these interviews. But I tell you today, somehow I got the feeling we might be pretty tired because our next guest, Mr. Bill Bradley, I would never be able to keep up with him. He is an extreme, not just a regular, but an extreme endurance athlete. Good afternoon, Mr. Bradley. How are you doing today?
Excellent, Sharifah. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I love that bridge behind you. Tell me a little bit about the bridge.
It's like I have a vlog. I have a vlog that I've actually got a couple videos that got 1 million views. But I started out doing it with this bridge, the bridge to nowhere in the background, and now I take it on the road. I do it with me when out and I'm doing my training and stuff. My camera, not the bridge.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. So let me just ask you, first of all, for any of our viewers who do not know, what is an extreme endurance athlete?
Got back from attempting to do the world's toughest runs. It's in northern Minnesota on the Canadian border. The Arrowhead 135, you run 135 miles and you pull a sled with your survival gear. It's like a 40-pound sled. It's like a 60-hour cutoff. This year we had the polar vortex. It was minus 50 out there, minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Just out of 65 people on foot, 13 made it. I didn't make it, but I take great pride of always getting in the arena. It's been a torturous race, but you know, I always show up. I swam 20 miles in the English Channel, no wetsuit, no break, a triple Ironman, among other things. I've done like a ton of stuff. I've run 100 miles in Alaska with pulling the sled with your survival gear also. I also have a world record. I've went 7 times across the Grand Canyon, rim to rim continuously. Quadruple Badwater in Death Valley, 584 miles, temperatures hit 120 degrees. I biked across America in 16 days in Ram, the world's toughest bike race. 18 hours a day on the bike seat, and I'll tell you what, my butt hurt for a year after that. I had to wear 4 pairs of bike pants at the end. And for that year afterwards, I'd walk in a restaurant, there was hard seats, say, hard seats, we can't eat here.
Okay, so Bill, let me just ask you, I want to talk a little bit more about all the things that you've done, but what made you decide to be an extreme endurance athlete? Where did that come from?
Well, you know what? I had a really successful video chain, $10 million a year video chain, and we know where that went. Business, because the video industry collapsed. I just could not get into trying to do a new business, just a regular business. I thought there was more to life. I go, there's more. I was put on this earth to do more, and I realized that it's to inspire people. It's to inspire people. So I get out there after that, and I started doing like 50-mile runs, and then I graduated to do like a 100-mile run, and then a 100-mile run in Alaska, and then a 135-mile run in Death Valley, and now I'm up to 584-mile quadruple Badwater in Death Valley in August, and I just kind of kept going up. And so same thing with swimming. So I didn't even know I swam Ironman, which was a 2.4-mile swim. And I went out to Hawaii and did the Ultraman, which was a 6-mile swim, 10K swim, which was a lot to me. But you wore a wetsuit, you swam in this protected bay. And I was there, and somebody had said that they, at the award ceremony, after I finished, I got a quote that I finished that one. That's a good race. And that they had done the English Channel. I said, she only beat me by 5 minutes. If she could do the English Channel, I could do the English Channel. So I've tried 5 times to do the English Channel. I still haven't made it yet.
You're making me tired, Bill. You're making me tired. I just want to lay down and take a nap after all this hard work.
That's it. So I get out there, and yeah, and my thing is, like a lot of these things I made, in the beginning, I made everything, right? I thought, oh my God, I'm so good at this because I'm so mentally tough. The bankruptcy made me mentally tough. But I took a lot of blows, and $10 million chain goes down, it's a lot of blows. And so I thought, oh, this is way easier than going bankrupt. And so I did really good. But now I got to the ones that are extremely hard. They're like some of the toughest things in the world, like that English Channel. I made it 20 miles swimming that English Channel on my 5th try no wetsuit, no brakes. I was in there probably almost 12 hours, 11 and a half hours, cold water. Put up a sign that said 4 miles to France, right? 4 miles to go. And it's a 21-mile swim. A big storm blew in. I couldn't believe it. And all of a sudden the wind got really big and big old choppy waves. And then I look around and I can't see the boat. The boat freaking disappeared. And I had visions of that, the movie, with Perfect Storm.
The Perfect Storm. Okay.
The Perfect Storm. When he was out there at the end and he's like treading and the boat had sunk. That's what I felt like. I was out there. I couldn't see anything but big choppy waves. And the boat was about 500 yards away and I swam to it. And you're just like a little head to that boat. You know, you don't get to that boat. He can lose you easily. I lived. I've tried 5 times. I went back a 6th time. I never got a chance to swim. It was so rough. We never got a chance to get off the shore. I stayed there 5 weeks. Climbing Mount Denali in Alaska, the world's coldest mountain. I've tried that 4 times. I made it up as high as 5,000 and 20,000 feet, not 20, like 18,000 to high camp last year. I fell in a crevice. I got frostbite there. And so I didn't quite make it, but I'm going back again for that one. And I have tried Mount Aconcagua, which is the highest mountain in the Western Hemisphere. That is down in Argentina. And I leave for my 2nd attempt at that tonight at midnight.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, I would never do any of that. I'm such a, you talking about over 500 miles. Like, I wouldn't even think about running a mile. Back in the day when I was, young in high school, I did run cross country.
You're still young.
Hey, I'm not about to run 500 miles. So I just want to ask this question, because I've always heard people, they're going to swim the English Channel. They're going to swim the English Channel. What all has to happen in order for someone to be able to attempt to swim the English Channel? Like, do you have to notify someone? Is there a process? How does this work?
I do a 6-hour qualifying swim in San Francisco Bay. The last time I tried, which is about 3 years ago, there's probably 15 boat pilots over there. Remember, they have the credentials. They're allowed to do the permits to go across from England to France and bring swimmers. And so you got to get on on their team, so their flight that goes. So once it's swimmable every other week when the tide is just right for about 2 to, I guess, 3 months out of the year. So you got to get in with a pilot, they'll take 4 to 5 swimmers out in that 2 weeks. And so if you're swimmer 1, he'll look at the weather and say, hey, swimmer 1, I think it looks good. You want to swim? And you either say yes or no, and then he goes on to the next guy. And to get out there and make it, because the year before, I made it 20 miles before that storm hit me. And so I was determined to make it all the way to France, but I sat on that beach for like 6 weeks. I never got a chance. It was so rough, and it was just a bad year.
So you're going to attempt to do it again?
Oh, yeah. I just got burned out. I got really, because you put weight on to swim because you're like a seal. And I got carried away because I like to eat. I got up like 50 pounds over my running weight. And it's like, man, if I don't go down now, I might be stuck here forever. So I went back on land. And that's when I did my quadruple Badwater. I was the 4th person ever to do that in Death Valley, 584 miles with 2 Mount Whitney summits. But did that answer your question on the English Channel?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just learning. Now, you also mentioned that you did some training at in San Francisco for it. How do you get physically, or do you get spiritually, or how do you mentally get prepared for these challenges?
Is that I'm meditating a lot right now. Quiet my brain down. I'm working on that to focus my energy more, like climbing this mountain. But a lot of it is mental toughness, and you get mental toughness by starting out doing smaller things. You can't skip right to a quadruple Badwater and do it. It's not going to happen. Really hot. You have to be used to that heat, and it get 120 and you're running on that pavement. The pavement could be 130 degrees or something like that. It's insane how hot that pavement gets. You go from right at the beginning, like doing a 10K. I'm just going to point out running 10K. Then you're doing like a half marathon, then a marathon, then maybe a 50K, which is, 31 miles, and a 50 miler, then a 100 miler, Then, like I said, 100-miler in the cold, 100-miler in the heat. And then then I did a 200-miler where there was like there was relay teams of 10 people, and I was one of 2 people who went out and ran it solo. You have to work your way up. It's like any other muscle. You can't lift the whole stack on the machine, you know, in the gym when you just walk in the door. You got to like work your way up. The mind is a muscle like any other muscle in your body, but anybody can develop it. Anybody. I wasn't born with it. I know, you know, I mean, I was a chicken. I was afraid of the water. I didn't even learn to swim really till I was 35. I had like, you know, you get like basic swim lessons, you know, that's all I could do. I just knew how to get to the edge of the pool. And then I learned to swim because I learned for an Ironman. And even after I made a couple attempts at the English Channel, my coach had now, he looked at me, he's like a super great swimmer, right? And he saw that I was training for the English Channel. He says, you need my help, because that's how bad I looked, you know, but it was like, he's like, you know, he got like second in the nation in his age group and like the 50 or the 100 free last time he went out there. And I'm like, I'm like, So he's worked with me. I mean, it's a journey, man. These things are a journey.
Well, you mentioned before you had your own video business, and then now you're doing endurance sports. Did you do any type of running before in your business? I mean, maybe doing a 1K, 2K, any smaller, or this is you just completely started?
No. Yeah, when I did my business, I was obsessed with marathons and triathlons. So I would run marathon races, I'd run triathlons. I think I finished like 8 or 9 Ironmans. So that's what I kind of started out with. And I thought, like, when I swam and finished, especially the swim, because I look way out there like that 2.4-mile swim, and I look at these buoys and Ironman can, I go, oh my God, if I could swim that far, I'm amazing. Because you're talking about the guy who's happy just to get to the edge of the pool.
Yes.
But that was a big deal. But that's how, so I started out with a short triathlon. I remember the first one I did was one of those sprint triathlons, very short, like a half-mile swim and maybe a 20-mile bike and a 5K run. And that was like a huge deal to me. That was a huge accomplishment when I finished it. So what I'm encouraging people is you got to start out small and work your way up. It's great to have the big vision and the big goal, but you got to build your mind up to be able to do these things. You know, I built my mind up to get to pretty extreme events, but I even got to get higher to make these things that keep conquering me. Right.
Right. Well, do you have any goals as far as another thing that you would like to attempt? Do you do any of those contests? You know how they have those truck pulling contests, or they pull the wheels and they do I think it's CrossFit, where they do all these extreme sports. Are you into anything like that? I'm not. I can watch them and enjoy them.
I respect those. Yeah, I respect those. I respect the CrossFit people, like, amazing. They're so fit, but it's really, as of right now, it's not really my calling. And a lot of stuff they do, I can't. I'm anywhere between 190 pounds right now compared to back when I was 235, but pretty light, but still not. You know what I mean? I don't have the upper body to do that stuff, and I don't train for it. You know, I mean, I'd have to train for it. You got to get in the gym. You got to do a lot of work in the gym. And I'm out on the trail. I got a pack. I was out with a pack today, training with a 30-pound pack, getting ready for Aconcagua. And so I'm working the lower body more than the upper body. So, but I really, really respect what they do. Ninja Warrior Power. I love that show.
Oh, yes. That's exactly what I was talking about. So what's next for you? I know you're heading out to the airport tonight, but what is I don't even know what's above the English Channel. Like, what's the one thing now that you're like, I just have to do that? Or do you feel that you've pushed yourself as far as you're going to push yourself?
Yeah, the problem is I'm stuck on these ones, right? Like I said, the English Channel, I've had 5 attempts at, haven't made it. It's made it as far as 20 miles. Really close, within a couple miles of shore. And then Arrowhead, I've made it 100 miles. It's 135 miles. I've taken 8 attempts at it. That's like over a 10-year period. I've taken 8 attempts. I still haven't made it. It seems like a bad nightmare or something. I just can't believe I haven't made it yet. I mean, I'm a pretty good runner. And then Denali. on Mountain Alley, the world's coldest mountain. Last year, I made it up to high camp. I was on the, you're on the mountain like 2 or 3, you know, I think it's like a 3-week, you know, 3 weeks total or something like that, pretty close to that. And I was up on that mountain, and I thought I was really strong at 14,000 feet. I thought I was going to make it. And that's a big deal because the year before I'd gotten frostbite so bad up there that my thumb turned black. And
oh, wow.
I had to go to 3 doctors. And the third doctor told me, I think you're going to keep it.
I hope so.
He told me I keep my thumb, and then I said, okay, I'm putting this in the glove. No more opinions. But I kept my thumb, and then last year I went up there and I fell 20 feet down in a crevice, and I got frostbite again on a couple fingers. But I never quit, you know. And so I remember I called my sister from up there because I thought I was supposed to show people to stretch themselves, to go for things out of their comfort zone. And you know, and then I'm looking at going, Les, these things are killing me, man. These last 3 events or 4 events are so hard. I can't seem to make them, and I can't stop myself. I keep coming back. You know, I won't quit on it. So she says, well, maybe you got a different message than to just go out of your comfort zone and do things. You know, and so I started thinking about it. I go, yeah, I think my message is don't quit on your dreams, because I don't.
I love that. Don't quit on your dreams. We heard it here from Bill Bradley. Do not quit on your dreams. So
Epic Bill Bradley.
You're not going to quit on your dreams. You're not going to give up. But what pushes you? I mean, what keeps you going? Is there a driving force? You know, maybe someone that you feel like, oh, I have to do it for this. You know, maybe you have grandkids or children where you want to be example for them. But what really pushes you forward to keep going?
Well, I think it's like I said, I think the big overall picture is to inspire people to not quit on their dreams, and when I'm really in a pinch and I'm out there and I'm really hurting, I tend to think about my kids. I think about my sister's kids, because I spend a lot of time with them now. I see them a lot. She keeps an eye on my little dog, you know, so I do when I'm training or when I'm at these events. So I hang around her kids quite a bit. And so I do think about them. And my nephew's coming down to film me. He went out to Arrowhead with me, with his team, to film me for a documentary. And I think about them. Every time I saw them, I was inspired to go harder, you know, and dig deeper, because I want to inspire people. And it's not easy, you know, and you do get knocked on your butt in life. And the bigger the green, the bigger the goal, the more you're going to get knocked on your butt. And the more times and the harder it is to get up. And you just got to get up. You just got to get up and that's the secret to getting the big dream, the big goal, is you got to get up and do it again.
You have to get up. Have you mentioned inspiring people? Has there been anyone in your circle that has said, you know, because of you, I'm going to try this? Have you inspired any of your children or your nephews or your children's, your sister's children?
Well, I just want to tell you one. You know, a lot of people, you know, you're inspiring, but they don't specifically tell you you're inspiring them. But the lady who works with me and cleans my apartment, and she's been with me a really long time, since before the bankruptcy, right? You know, when I had the big house, now I got a little apartment. But
but she's still there.
I don't pay her as much as when I had the big house. But anyway, so I have a little apartment, and she cleans it. But she, like, her son was a little bit overweight, a little bit, yeah, and she looked at me, because I think he was, you know, I mean, he's maybe like 50 pounds overweight. Okay, he was over, and in high school, and he was having a hard time, and she kind of asked me about it, and I said, well, he's looking at you. You know what I mean? You're the one who has to, you know, you got to get out there and get fit. You got to be training. You got to do this, because he's looking at you. He's not listening to you. He's looking at you. And so she started training, going up and down this hill with a backpack for like 2 hours, you know, a trip. And he was watching her, and he started doing it with her, and he started dropping weight. Yeah. And I think he dropped like 20. And then she joined this like serious, like bodybuilding type weightlifting class where, I don't know, this guy works you hard. He doesn't care if you quit. You know those types?
Yes.
They just like kick your butt. And so she went there with this guy. I think he's like age group. He's one of the top bodybuilders. I don't really know the guy, but he's one of the top in his age group in the nation. It's really hard to get into his classes. And so she joined with her son, and they kept going. And the guy, I remember she said they have a 5 o'clock and a 7 o'clock class, and she couldn't make the 5, so she showed up to 7. And already by now, the people she'd signed up with, the 4 or 5 people had already quit, right? And so she doesn't show up to the late class, and the guy looked at her and he goes, "Hey, I thought you quit." And she goes, "I don't quit." And I go, "That's great." And she says, "You know where I got that from? You never quit." And that like made me tear up. That was a big deal. And you know what her son weighs now? He's down. He lost 50 freaking pounds.
Yes.
He lost all that weight.
Yes, that's fantastic, inspiring. So I'm assuming there's going to be a book or a story or something about this incredible journey of yours.
Yeah, I've worked on a book before. I'm more of a talker. I'm more like the blog guy, but yeah, it's on my radar to do a book.
Well, the vlog is nice. So if people want to follow your journey, or where can they find out more information about you?
We'll have a website at Epic Bill Bradley. We're on Facebook at Epic Bill Bradley, Instagram, Twitter, and then we also have like we talked about YouTube under Epic Bill Bradley. So they're all under that.
So wonderful. Epic Bill Bradley. You definitely are epic. Now, Phil, we're coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I like to do is allow my guests the opportunity to just take a few moments to really enforce what you want our viewers to take away from your show.
I think it's like, if you got that dream, I've been a lot because I did sales after I went bankrupt, and I was in downtown San Francisco a lot, and people who, there's a lot of people who are in the big cities, and I've been in London, I've seen the same look in people's eyes. They're like grinding their life out, you know what I mean? And they don't look happy at what they're doing. And if you look in that mirror and you don't see a lot of life in your eyes, you're not doing your dream. You should go for that dream, whatever it takes to go for that dream. I quit my job. I quit my job. I had enough money for a couple years. That's why I was put on this earth, is to motivate people. I can't just do anything for money. You do anything for money, it's a very hollow feeling. I've had pretty good money in the past. It's a very hollow feeling if you're not doing what your purpose is in life. So what I'm encouraging you is go after your purpose, whatever it is. And if you can't figure out your purpose, keep trying things till you figure it out. Because I thought my purpose was entertaining people with the video business. And then I realized, that the universe had bigger plans for me, and they knew I was really good at them. But now it's like, I don't quit on these things. And that's what I'm encouraging you. If you got that goal or that dream, do not quit. Don't quit on that goal or dream. Keep moving towards it. You get knocked in your butt, just dust it off and keep going at it. And that's what life's about. And you know how satisfying it's going to be when I make these things? I've tried 8 times Arrowhead. There's going to be this huge yell. Huge. Yes. You'll hear it all the way across the country, across the world. Woohoo! I'll be crying for days because I'll think about how I've had frostbite out there. How I've had, everything go wrong, been lost, been practically frozen out there. Anyway, so just don't quit. Keep going after that dream. Do not quit.
Yes.
If I quit, you can kick my ass.
I love it. You definitely heard it here on Ask Sharifah from Epic Bill Bradley. Do not quit. Do not quit on yourself. Do not quit on your dreams. I definitely enjoyed our interview, Bill. Thank you for being a guest on Ask Sharifah.
Awesome, Sharif. This was great. You're the best. I am the tiger.
I love that song. That's like my motivation. Everybody's moving song. That's actually my cleaning song though, but I love the song. It keeps me all motivated and up.
I know.
I
love that song too. Did you ever hear the story of Rocky and how he got his movie? And that's what inspired me to start saying that, how he got the original Rocky movie.
I heard the story. I can't remember. I think he sold his dog. Didn't he sell his dog?
Yes, he sold his dog.
I love these stories.
He couldn't feed his dog, and man, I go like, oh my God, I look at my dog and go, man, I would be pretty damn broke. Okay, he's a little peekaboo. He doesn't take much food, so I ain't selling him. But the stuff he went through to make his movie just has overly inspired me. So I always say, I am the tiger. If Rocky can do it, I can do it. So
I love that. I am the tiger. If Bill can do it, I can do it. That's what I'm going to keep in mind.
You're already doing it.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's been wonderful. So all of our viewers, make sure you share this interview. Feel the passion, feel the eye of the tiger. And if you're interested in watching more of our interviews, visit the website at AskSharifah.com, or for your own interview, visit the website. Until next time, I'm Sharifah Hardie. Good night.